Hi, here we will discuss about the primitive data types in Java programming language. The primitive data types are used to store simple values which are like numbers and characters, and they are stored directly in the memory space, and also which can be accessed faster than non-primitive data types. Here we are having 8 types of primitive data types. The first one is byte. This is having 1 byte and 8-bit signed to complements integer. The default value is here 0. Its range is from minus 2 power 7 to 2 power 7 minus 1, and the simply we can represent this in the numbers minus 128 to plus 127. And also the second type is short integer, which is having 2 bytes, that means 16-bit signed to complements integer, and the default value is here 0. Its range is minus 2 power 15 to plus 2 power 15 minus 1. It can be represented as minus 32,768 to 32,767. And the third one is integer, which is taking 4 bytes in the memory space. 32-bit signed to complements integer. Default value is here 0, and its range is minus 2 power 31 to 2 power 31 minus 1. It can be said as minus 2 billion to plus 2 billion. And the fourth one is long integer, which is consuming 8 bytes in the memory space. It can be represented as 64-bit signed to complements integer. Number default value is 0. L represent here long integer. Its range is minus 2 power 63 to plus 2 power 63 minus 1. And the fifth one is here floating point numbers, which is consuming 4 bytes in the memory space. It can be represented as 32-bit floating point value, and it should be represented by default 0.0 point 0 f. F represents floating point value. Otherwise the value will store as a double. Here the range is minus 2 power 149 to 2 power 127. And the double which is representing the large value with fractional number, which is consuming 8 bytes, that means 64-bit floating point number. It is having the default value 0.0 point 0 d. D represents the double. Sometimes we need not to mention this d. By automatically the compiler will store the value as double if you are not representing with f. Its range is minus 2 power 1074 to 2 power 1023. And the character data type, which is having 2 bytes, that means 16-bit unsigned integer. So these are all signed integers. This one is unsigned integer, so its default value is 0, and its range is from 0 to 2 power 16. The value here which is given like alphabets, capital A or small a, or combination of alphabets and numerical, but the first letter should start with alphabets, and also we can use number also inside the codes. And the boolean data type here, it is consuming 1 byte. The default value always will be false. If you want to make a true, we can represent that. The range is not applicable for this byte boolean. And here the byte data type can be represented in the Java programming like this. So here byte jet equal to minus 1, so this can be represented like this. And also integer data type can be represented as integer a equal to 10, so here a is variable, and the value integer is assigned to the variable a. And long integer data type, here the number is assigned to the variable n. The variable is long integer. It should be represented with capital L at the end of the number. Short integer data type, here this is assigned 2 complements integer. So here the value minus 15 is assigned to the variable n1. Floating point data type, here the fractional number which is assigned to the variable b. The value should end with small f, otherwise it will store as a data type. Double data type consumes more memory locations than the floating point variable memory locations. That's why we have to represent with small f. The double data type here, it can be represented the large that number with the fractional portion. So here the double data type d is store this value. And character data type, the value alphabet or whatever values you are represented inside the single quotes, that will be taken as a character, right? And string data type, the sequence of characters within the single quote or double quotes considered as a string. And the boolean data type here, which is representing the value either true or false. Here the example program is given, class data type here, then start with the main method, here integer data type and short integer, long integer with representation of at end of the digits l. And here floating point number is end with the small f. And double data type character, and string data type and boolean data type. So just we are printing the values, the output will be this one. So whatever we have given, a is having the 10 and n1 is having minus 15. So likewise the boolean value which is represented here as a true. So we can use all the 8 primitive data types wherever we required in the Java programming language. And there is different types of variables in Java. The first one is local variables. The local variables are tied to methods which are represented inside the scope of method, so that variable cannot be used outside the method. For example, here I am having the method void add. So here this void add is having three variables. One is integer x, integer y, and here integer c. So these variables cannot be used outside the method add. If you are using this variable here in the main method, for example, here if I'm accessing this variables, it will give you compile time error. Okay, so this kind of variables which are represented inside the method, that is those variables called local variables. And the next one is instance variable. So instance variables are non-static variables which are tied to an object. So here whenever we are using the Java programming language, if you want to access the methods outside the main method, then we will create the objects with respect to the class. The class name is here example. So I am creating the object variable obj1 with respect to the class example by using the new operator. So now the object one is stored in the some memory locations with the default value. So now I am calling the method by using the object variable, that is called instance variable. Okay, so just we are calling the method add by using that instance variable. So it is an object at specific moment. That's what I told you here. The object variable created at this moment. The scope of the instance variable is in the inside the whole class. So inside this example whole class, we can use that object variable wherever we required. Then we are having static variables as a third type of variable which is also tied to a class. Here the static variables can be represented inside the class which can be shared by all the objects, all the instances. So here the variable a is represented inside the class. You see this variable is accessed inside the main method. Okay, so the variables can be shared inside the class, right? So a and b both are used inside the main method. So here I accessed those variables and just printing. The output of this one will be here. When you are calling this obj1.add, you will get the result of this one. So here result of this one is 10 plus 50. We are passing to the x and y respectively. Then when we are adding the x plus y, 60 you are getting. Likewise here a is 5000, b is 2000 static variables. These static variables are passing to this statement z equal to a plus b. So here the g value is printed like 7,000. So these are the types of variables which mostly we are using inside the Java programming language. Thanks for watching.